My name is Nicola Ferioli. I work for Google in Italy at the Milan office. I will present this workshop about Maps API. I have a few people helping me. Actually, I'm sorry that their names are mostly out of the screen. Anyway, I will let them introduce themselves very briefly. Most of them are from the Zurich team.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Hannon. I'm a product manager for Google Maps in Zurich. Work with all of these engineers.
I'm one of the engineers. My name is Michael Pülke. I'm based in the Zurich office too, and I work basically on maps.
I'm Luc van Dijk. I work in the Zurich office. I used to work on maps, and that's why it gives me a warm and fuzzy feeling to be here.
Hello, also from the Zurich office. My name is Carsten Dewey, and I'm actually working on Earth. Like we all are working on Earth, right?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Douwe. I don't work on the Maps API, but I do work in Zurich.
Okay, so since this is going to be an interactive session, all these people are here to help you, so just feel free to ask for their help for anything. Anything, almost anything. Then maybe they will say, well, I don't know, but you can ask anything. So how this session is going to work? It's not a classic presentation, so I'm not going to show you something about Maps API, the new features, the maplets, and so on. It works the other way around. So you will do all the work, and I will just sit here and see what you're doing. Basically, what we're going to do is to start from some pages without a map, some kind of templates, and step by step add some information into it. First of all, a map for displaying the information, then something a little bit more difficult, which is adding information into the map, and so on. In order to try to push you into doing this kind of exercises on your laptop, we made a kind of little competition. So the best results that we will see will receive as a prize a 3D mouse. Now, I don't know if you know what is a 3D mouse or if you tried to use it. It's a very nice tool which works very well, for example, with Google Earth, because it allows you to move around Earth not only one direction at a time. Usually with the mouse or with the keyboard, first you scroll, you pan, then you change the zoom level, then you try to tilt a little bit. With this kind of a tool like this, which is a 3D mouse, you can do all these things at the same time. Now, the main problem is that I'm not really good in using it, but let's say that you can do navigation things like this, flying down to a city, and then once you find a place that you like, you can fly around like a kind of flight simulator thing. You can move very easily in multiple directions, things that you cannot really do with normally with the conventional pointing devices. Okay, so we have a few of them for you if you are good enough. So we will use mainly Maps API, but we will bring in some other APIs. In particular, we will include the driving directions, which are part of the Maps API, but they were launched this week, basically. And we will include maplets, which were also launched yesterday, if I'm not wrong. Plus something, if we reach the end of the exercises, something about displaying RSS feeds inside a map. And yeah, probably maplets. Well, you saw something very quickly at this morning in the webcast from London. Maplets is a way to combine gadgets and maps, and in particular, it's a way to have one single map provided by Google and putting on top of it different layers, different overlays coming from a separate application created by the developers. In some way, I can show you maybe a couple of examples so to make your mind clear. When I have to book a hotel, first I go maybe to a hotel booking site. Maybe I have a map there so I can see where the hotel is, hopefully. And then after, maybe I have to find driving directions or which are the restaurants next to the hotel and so on. What I usually do now is that I do the thing in 2 steps. So first I search for the hotel, then once I get the address of the hotel, I go and look to see what's around the hotel. Another example could be I want to buy a house. I go to a real estate site. I select my house based on the price, mainly maybe, surface, all those kind of things. Then maybe I go to a different website also based on maps information, which shows me the level of criminality in that area, so I decide if it's a safe place or not to live in. And another site again to check for schools and their quality and so on. Now it would be nice to have all this information in one single place, so I take my map, I overlay first the real estate site information, then the neighborhood criminality level, and then the school information. And I see everything together, so it's very clear. Now this can be done with these maplets, and I will show you how, or you will show me, actually it's one of the exercises, how you can take a normal Maps API application and transform it into a maplet. So the main theme is we implemented a kind of carbon footprint calculator, meaning that each participant here will have the possibility to enter into a map the route, where they're coming from basically, and how they came to Hamburg, either walking, if you are close enough, or by train, by plane, by car, and so on. And for each one of these methods of transportation, we will compute the carbon footprint. And the information will be stored in a centralized database which collects information from the various sites where Google Developer Day is going on in Europe. So you will see information from both Hamburg, Madrid, London, and Paris. And then we will extend this into maplets and some other information. All of this should be completed in 90 minutes, actually a bit less than that, because I've been already talking for 5 minutes probably. So we have to start quite quickly. So the first step is form groups of 3 to 5 people, either your friends that came here with you or just make new friends to people sitting next to you. Let's say not more than 5, because then it gets quite complex to manage the group. Maybe 2 or 3 is, 2 people is definitely a bit, not too much. But anyway, form these groups. And then in each group there should be one laptop configured with access to the network. I don't know if you already did it. If you did not, you can. There is free Wi-Fi here, and the login information is on the back of the card that you have on your neck usually. So once you have logged in, you need a web browser, and you can go to this page, GDD 2007 Maps API googlepages.com, and in there are the instructions for performing the various exercises. Okay, so we have 4 main exercises. From previous experience, usually we start from the first one. It's the easiest. Display information which is already stored in our database and is delivered to the application as a KML file. Second exercise is plotting your new route. And then the third and the fourth, probably only very skilled people who know very well the API will be able to reach in time the third and fourth exercise. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Do as much as you can. And of course, at any time you can ask questions to the people I introduced to you at the beginning of this session. I show you a couple of examples of how it will look like, the final exercises. This is an example of displaying the information. So there will be a page based on Maps API, which contains, of course, a map provided by Google. And on the right side, we provided a kind of selection panel. It's already in a template, so you don't have to write it from scratch. And basically, you can see the people coming from different places and going to Hamburg, London, Paris, and Spain. And you can also do some selections, like you can remove, for example, all the people who came by plane. Or you can filter on the country, just, for example, I remove Spain, those kind of things. This is the first exercise. So you see what has already been collected. Second one, a little bit more difficult instead, is plotting information on the map. And actually, let's say we start from a page which contains a map. There will be a search box down here which is based on geocoding. So I can enter a location like Madrid, Spain. And by clicking on search location, the map will center. Well, it doesn't zoom, so it's not really nice. But anyway, it will center on Madrid, possibly. Then, after you have found your starting point, what you can do is that you can choose how you came to Hamburg. For example, you can say, I came by car. And then you click on your starting point, like from Dresden. Okay? And actually here you see that, no, you don't see that much because it's mostly out of the screen. Maybe let me try to I don't know if technical people will like me, but okay, yeah, a bit better. So basically, this plot of the route is based on the new driving directions functions within Maps API, which were launched this morning or yesterday. The initial part of the exercise is a little bit easier. You just draw a straight line from your starting point to Hamburg, and then a second step is drawing actually something like this. At the same time, we will compute for this route the distance, how much carbon you produced, and if you click submit, this route will be stored in our database, so you will be able to see it later on. Third exercise is about maplets. And actually, probably, I will do like in the previous session, I will just show you the outcome later on of transforming the original application into a maplet. It's quite an easy process. You just take the original application based on Maps API, you do some cut and paste. You have to fix a few functions, but it's quite straightforward. And you get something which can be embedded into a maplet. And the fourth one is about adding RSS feed information to the map. So, I suggest you go to the first exercise. So on this site, on Google Pages, the first exercise is more or less easy. It gives you a step-by-step instruction about how to get the template, how to add a map to it, how to add markers, and so on, and pointers to the documentation for doing it. So now it's your turn to start coding. And again, for any kind of issue, or if you also want to have some other kind of more generic information about Maps API, you can ask any one of the Googlers in this room.
So richtig gar nichts, ne? Den richtigen, den musst du
Okay, so stop. Raise your hands. You cannot type anymore on the keyboard. So, anyone of you was working on exercise number 3? Who was doing number 3? You were doing 3? And you have a working exercise number 2? Yes or no? Okay. Okay, we will check it in a while. And who completed exercise number 2, or more or less it's working? 2. Okay, included driving directions? 2? Okay. Okay, I will show you quickly exercise 3, actually what you can get with a maplet. So in the first exercise you did something like this, where you display HTML file generated from a server on the map, and you can select and deselect information. Now it would be nice if we could bring this kind of overlay and use it together with other information coming from other mashups. Now this is possible with the maplets, Google Maplets. Basically, if you go to maps.google.com/preview, actually it's just a kind of developer preview for a few days, then it will move to the main Maps domain. You will see that there is a new tab. Oh, it's in Italian. Maybe let's try to use English, at least not German, sorry, but at least English. So you may be used to these search results and My Maps. Now there is also a Maplets tab. And in this Maplet tab, basically you can select a set of maplets that you want to use on your map. Here I have a few ones which are pre-selected. Like I have something about weather information, our own method, which is the CO2 consumption, and a few other ones. And actually, adding a new maplet on the map is quite easy. You just have to click on Add Content, and you get to the gallery where we collect all the various maplets generated by the developers. Not many so far, but of course, it's still a young product. You choose the one that you want to have on your map, you click on Add to Map, and it will be available. It's very similar to the way gadgets work, actually. Then, from a development point of view, what you have to do is that maplets are based on an XML file. Basically, there is a kind of header where you define your name, the description of the maplet, the sites, and so on. And then there is the main section, which is the content of the maplet. Now, in order to have a maplet with our information, it's more a kind of cut and paste activity from the first exercise. Only a few functions may need to be changed, but actually in our exercise was simple enough for not requiring many changes. I can show you the final outcome. Now, maybe, okay. What happens is that inside the content of the XML file, what we did is that we copied and pasted all this section. This is just taken, it's the navigation panel with the 4+4 checkboxes. They were just cut and pasted here. So we have our user interface. And then here we pasted almost all the JavaScript which was included in our first example. And basically, there are very minor differences, like when in the second line where we create the gmap2, we don't have to pass anymore as an argument the ID of the div where the map should go. This will be managed automatically by the API. And almost all the rest is the same. So you may recognize the first exercise, set center, displaying the KML on top of the map, and this one is part of the built-in functions that we provided. So if you generate a file like this and you upload it on a web page, then you can add it as a maplet to your Google account. So if I go to maps.google.com, again on maplets, and actually you have to log in with some Google account, what happens is that just by clicking on the CO2 consumption map, I can get its interface on the left part here. So I will have actually here Explorer is deciding that those pictures are not transparent anymore, but that's a minor issue. And also you have the country selection. So it's basically the same interface we had in the other example, this one. And you see that what is displayed on the map is exactly our KML file. But the good thing about maplets is that on this map, apart from seeing where people are coming from, I can add new information, like the temperature information for Europe. I just enable an additional maplet, the weather bar maplet, and after this is loaded, it takes a little bit, you will see also the temperatures across Europe, together with your own information. So I know that, for example, well, I don't have really the temperature for Hamburg, but in Stuttgart is 22 degrees and whatever. And most likely, I mean, this map works as a usual UI, so I can scroll, I can zoom, I can do anything I want. And it's a very easy way to bring together my information, the information that we generated here, with information provided by a third party. In some way, instead of just giving your information on your website, if you add it into a maplet, you can make it available for other users to combine it with other sources in order to generate new kind of applications. And now, I didn't show you the full procedure, but it's actually a matter of 10 minutes. If you just take your original Maps API application, you just do some cut and paste, you change a few things, and you get something like this working quite easily. Okay, so do you have any questions about maplets in particular, but in general about Maps API or Google Maps, business location, anything like that? Any question? Yeah?
If I upload the XML file, is it just privately available for my account?
You can submit to the gallery, actually. If you put it on your website, then you can add it to your page. Possibly you can send around this XML file, and make it available to others. Actually, when you add content, you can pick content from the gallery, which is displayed here. Just one moment, okay? Or you can just add by URL. So if here you enter your own URL where you are hosting your XML file, it will be basically available to you or anyone who knows this URL. On the other hand, it works like gadgets, or toolbar, buttons, whatever. If you submit to our gallery, you have the possibility to be listed here, and people searching for that specific kind of information may find your maplet, and so you may attract more people to your website and so on. Any other question? I think that I hope this session was interesting for you. I think probably it was for programmers. If someone had some troubles working with the API, probably it was a bit tough to start with. But the point was showing you different kind of things. First of all, how easy it is to take a web page without a map and adding a map into it with some markers or some routes, whatever. And for people who have more already better skills on Maps API, the continuous improvement that we are putting on Maps API, like the driving directions, the maplets, and so on, so that you can have always powerful tools to add something nice to your website. Let's say a lot of information looks nice on a map. It may be Maps API or Google Earth or whatever, and it's more easy for users to understand what you are telling them if maybe it's drawn on a map, you have a physical location instead of just creating huge tables with addresses or whatever. So thanks a lot for taking part into this experiment. And now we will proceed with the prizes of this session. Well, honestly, I was thinking about just giving out to the people who were showing to me working examples that were fine. So because we are not so many. In the previous session, we had many more people in the room, so we had to have them to send us the result of their coding and then try to find out which one was working better. It was quite tricky. Here we had some kind of feeling of what was going on. Okay, so thank you.